right, we will now convene the September 12, 2023 City of Daytona Beach Special Magistrate Proceedings. At the outset, I've reviewed and approved the August 8, 2023 minutes. Do we have any announcements before I proceed?
Yes, sir. We have compliance on page 4. Case number 9, SMG 09-23-216, 918 West International Speedway Boulevard, compliance 9823. Page number 11, case number 36, SMG 08-23-200, 2721 West International Speedway Boulevard, compliance 9823. Case number 37, SMG 08-23-202, 2595 West International Speedway Boulevard, compliance 9823. Page number 12, case number 42, SMG 11-22-323, 419 North Wild Olive Avenue, compliance 9823. That's it.
Very good. Will those representatives for the City of Daytona Beach who will be testifying at this morning's proceeding please stand and be sworn?
You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? Thank you.
All right, we need to take a couple cases out of order, so let's proceed to case number 26. Atlantic LLC. This matter is here for the imposition of a fine. Counselor, if you would announce your appearance.
Jessica Gallo, Caldwell Law Firm, 149 South Richard Avenue, Daytona Beach, Florida.
All right, this matter is here for the imposition of a fine, so let's hear what the city has to say.
All right, since the last hearing, we've had contact, and they continue to move forward. Basically, right now, they're finalizing the permits, and they're waiting on material. We would like to amend to the November cutoff to allow that to happen.
Okay, to the November cutoff?
Yes.
All right, what say the respondent?
We're in agreement with that.
All right, then based upon the agreement of the parties, I will amend our current order of noncompliance to allow the respondent until November 8, 2023 to come into compliance and will be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. And case number 27, 2000 Atlantic LLC. All right, again, here for the imposition of a fine. What say the city?
We've had contact in progress, which is the same as the last case. They continue to move forward with the permit. We're just waiting on materials. We'd like to amend the November cutoff.
And what say the respondent?
We're in agreement.
Once again, pursuant to the agreement of the parties, I will amend our current order of noncompliance to allow the respondent until November 8, 2023 to come into compliance or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter.
Thank you.
All right, good luck to you. Case number 29, Daytona Beach Resort LLC. Yes, ma'am, if you would
Good
state your
morning.
name.
Good morning. Leanne Wagner on behalf of Daytona Beach Resort Condominium and Conference Center, LLC.
Okay. I have that we are here for a progress report to determine a compliance date. Who wants to give me a progress report?
You can go ahead.
All right. Our contractor has been to the property. I believe the work is very close to being completed. I spoke with Inspector Yates last week, and we discussed that once the permit is closed out, everything will be finalized, and I believe that he's prepared to recommend a continuation to the November cutoff date.
To clarify, she's talking about one of the items is close to completion. The garage hasn't moved forward, but the balconies are close to completion. They had their most recent inspection on 8/18/23, which they did pass. So we would like to amend to the November cutoff to allow the work to continue.
So did both of you say November?
Yes, sir.
All right, based upon the agreement of the parties, I will amend our current order of, no, I guess I will establish a compliance date for November 8, 2023. Or the respondent will be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, case number 1, Kelly Schofield and Tom E. Cooper. Anyone here for the respondent? Not seeing the respondent, let's say the city.
Good morning, John Stinson, Code Inspector with the city. My qualifications are on file. This is a field-generated case for outside storage of the shipping container. The certified notice was received on 7/20 of this year. Compliance was due on 7/30 of this year. Last visit to the property was yesterday. Property remains in non-compliance. We're asking for order of non-compliance and compliance by the next cutoff.
Do we know why they have a shipping container?
I'm sorry?
Do we know why they have a shipping container sitting on their property?
No, sir, but this is the second case of the same container, which first case resulted in a fine, a lien. The lien was satisfied, but yet the container is still there
On the same property?
on the same property.
Okay. Noting the absence of the respondent, based upon our inspector's testimony and the photographs presented, I find the respondent in non-compliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by October 4, 2023, or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. Case number 2, Sunshine Ventures and Management, LLC. Anyone here for the respondent? Yes, sir. If you would state your name and be sworn.
Yes, sir. Good morning. My name is Greg Kong, and I'm here as the respondent representative for Sunshine Ventures and Management.
Sorry,
And
can you,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, can you spell your last name for me?
It's K-O-N-G, like King Kong.
Okay. Raise your right hand.
Oh, yes.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Thank you.
And your affiliation with the respondent?
I am the key holder and the real estate agent for the owners of the property.
All right, let's hear from the city.
This is a staff-generated case. The violations noted were property was unsecure, it was vacant, damaged fencing, unmaintained pool, lack of permits, and the last one was graffiti. The graffiti has been remedied and property has been secured somewhat. However, the damaged fence still leaves an opening for the pool to be an issue. Other than that, there's been no activity on the property other than the removal of the graffiti and securing. Last visit on the property was yesterday. City is asking for an order of non-compliance and compliance by the next cutoff.
This the property on the corner of A1A and University?
Yes, sir.
It's an eyesore.
So the owners purchased the property in March, and as either March or April of this year. From what I understand, I had been speaking to permitting and things like that. The previous owner, I guess, went, almost 2 years
MIA.
without, you're right. And we had challenges. I actually negotiated the transaction myself. And we had some interesting conversations because he'd misled us on a lot of things involving the property. The current owners have engaged a contractor. I have an engagement letter from the contractor. And I've also spoken to the building department for the city. And I submitted a couple of weeks ago, I think it's called a PD. It's on file. I had to pay like $500 to submit something because they were looking to condemn the building. So I submitted that so we could sit back in front of, I guess, technical review. because the intention is to move forward with the original plans that were already approved by the city with those architectural plans.
Whose architectural plans, yours or your predecessors?
No, so the predecessor's architectural plans were
What
approved.
did they call for?
I'm sorry?
What did they call for?
It was renovating the hotel into, redoing all the rooms and the pool and everything into a 20-unit hotel. And it was already permitted at that time, but I guess because of inactivity, the permit had expired, I think, in January or February of this year. We have those architectural plans, and we've already engaged with that architect to bring the plans up to date because of codes and things like that changing. Every 3 years, it has to be updated. So we're currently working with those people to take care of that. The fencing, I didn't realize, and I went to the property yesterday myself, and the contractor that we have that, painted it and took care of sealing the building back up said that he'll be out there tomorrow to wire up that fencing on that berm.
Okay, the current violation is lack of required renovation permits. When do you expect to have the permits? And the permits, as I understand what you've said so far, are to pick up where your predecessor left off with regard to his architectural plans,
Correct. We
try
don't,
to implement whatever it is he had in mind,
correct. We didn't,
I assume with some changes.
well, the only changes that we're going to make, because we don't want to reinvent the wheel, I spoke with the building department about this stuff, is basically whatever new codes are in place, the architect and the MEP engineer has to bring those up to date.
Okay, commercial property maintenance, what does that mean in this context?
The landscaping and just the general appearance of the property.
Graffiti, self-explanatory. Pool maintenance, there's a pool in this mix somewhere?
Yes, sir, right there.
Right where? Oh, that empty concrete thing?
Yes, sir.
Damaged fencing,
There you go.
unsecure vacant property. And how much time are you proposing to give the respondent to bring this into compliance?
I'd like to say the non-compliance and compliance by the next cutoff. Obviously, it's probably not going to be completed by the next cutoff, but we need to make some progress here.
May I ask, what's the next cutoff and
October 4, 2023.
to have what done? To have the
We can
fence?
talk about that in a second.
Okay. The new roof was done by the previous owner, and I guess the plumbing main was also replaced by the previous owner under the old contractor. And we're not using the old contractor.
So there have been some improvements in this property.
Prior to us, though, it was under the old owner's permit.
Okay.
And to answer your question as far as the plans, this is a small project for the architectural design group. They're doing that Marriott across the street, that Crescent one that's also been gutted. So they're working with that project as well. If I had to guess, and this is a guess, if I had to guess how long it would take for them to get us the new plans, I would think probably in about 60 days.
Good to know.
As far as getting the plans, as far as getting the,
Give your owners something that would be good to know.
yes, sir.
This property, your owners inherited a lot of history,
Yes, we know.
crappy property,
Yes, we know.
okay? It's been an eyesore for I don't know how long. It was an eyesore probably, anyway. It's been an eyesore for a long time. Your owner comes forward with a good faith effort to do something serious, to make this an asset to the community, happy to work with you.
Yes, sir.
If we're just getting shined on down the road and we're to continue looking at this for a couple years, then it's going to be accruing fines at the rate of about $250 a day.
Understood.
Okay. So, I doubt very seriously he's going to have his permits before the next cutoff. But if I'm going to work with you at all with regard to time to do whatever it is your owners have in mind, the property at least has to be secured and it has to be maintained, because as it stands right now, it's a hazard. It's a hazard on a thoroughfare, a busy thoroughfare at that. So By the next cutoff, I'm expecting the commercial property maintenance to be taken care of. I'm expecting the graffiti to be taken care of. I don't know what you do in the way of pool maintenance. What's he supposed to do in the way of pool maintenance, other than fence the property off?
May I make a suggestion?
Yes.
So typically what happens when there's properties with pools, there's a barrier that can be placed around the pool, one, or there's planks that they put over the pool, and then they basically, so nobody can fall in. I mean, that's about the only thing that you can do, because the intention is to keep the pool and renovate the pool.
Well, I'll leave that to you and the inspector to figure out the most effective, most convenient, most cost-effective way to do it.
Okay.
I'm not an expert in that area, so I don't know what to tell you. But between the maintenance, the graffiti, the pool maintenance, the fencing, and the unsecured status, I want that corrected by October 4. First off, I find the respondent in noncompliance. And I want those items in compliance by October 4, 2023, or the respondent returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. I don't know if you're new to us here or not, but if, as you do this stuff, you run into legitimate hiccups along the way, all I can do is urge you to contact that gentleman
Yes,
right
sir.
there to let him know what's going on, and that'll lighten your load if you end up getting hauled back in here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now,
Sir, if I-
and what I will look for, when do you expect to have any word on the permits that you're looking for?
I really can't,
Get applications in?
no, because you can't submit a permit application until I have the architecturals all done. So once I get that done, I can submit that to the permit department for them to
You're
review.
thinking that might be upwards of 60 days.
That's what I'm giving the architect. I'm thinking that he should have something to us within
All right,
60
well, I'm
days.
going to babysit this property for a little while in the hopes that I'm actually, and by the way, unfortunately for you, I drive by that every freaking day. So I'm going to babysit this thing for the time being in the hopes that somebody's actually going to do something with it. So with regard to the permits, I'm going to order whatever you will, that you come back to our November 14, 2023 meeting to give us a progress report on the status of the permits, and hopefully we'll establish a compliance date for that item,
Okay,
okay? So, take care of the housekeeping you have to take care of out there to maintain it, clean it up, you know, as best you can, and secure it, especially since you've got a vacant building, you've got an empty pool, you've got all sorts of hazards there if kids or what have you start walking through fences. So take care of all of that by October 4, 2023, and then I'll see you again on November 14 of 2023. And at that point, hopefully you'll be in a position to tell me that you either have your permits or you've applied for them or
Better
when you can
timeline.
expect them.
sir, if I may, we did, as Shelton? Mr. Stanson stated, we did take care of the graffiti and sealing the
Okay.
building back up and everything, and, you know, I'll take care of the fence. Like I said, the GC said he'll have somebody out there tomorrow to, you know, stand that fence up, but otherwise, everything else was taken care of.
And again, let me reiterate, as long as your owner is making a good faith effort to turn this into a something, we will work with you. If it slows down, if it stops, if he disappears, then he's gonna get clobbered.
You had mentioned that you passed by that property. These owners, just to give a little background on them, and, you know, I've lived in the area for 33 years, and there's somebody that I've brought in, and there's a property just north of that. It used to be called Camellia. It's now called Oceano, and they've renovated that, and the inside's beautiful. And that's kind of the intention. This is going to be Oceano too. So,
Well, please don't feel as though you're behind the eight ball. I mean, you're in deep doo-doo, but you're not totally behind
Right,
the eight ball.
right.
Like I said, just, your owner's new people as far as I'm concerned, so it's a clean slate.
right.
I'm just telling you, there's a lot of pent-up angst already because this has been one of our historical problems.
Understood.
All right, good luck to you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we've got one more case to take out of turn, number 19. Barry Hughes is appearing by Zoom, I assume.
I spoke with him yesterday, so I'm assuming he's here.
Okay, COSI Investment LLC, Emil A. Dotel, and Miriam P. Aversano. Do we have counsel up here? Mr. Hughes, how are you this morning?
Very good. Thank you.
All right, this matter is here for the imposition of a fine.
Your Honor, this is a case where my clients are a purchaser of property that had a violation that was in existence. They were not aware that there was an ongoing case. They thought that there was a fine which was escrowed out of the closing to be paid. Apparently, the property was still not in compliance. They purchased the property. Your Honor has compromised or reduced the lien to the prior owners, even though the property remains in noncompliance. My client was hopefully going to testify if he was here today. The issue with regard to parking. And he had, following our last hearing, they did retain an architect who presumably is meeting with the city. The contract with the architect is dated May 23rd, and they paid a $1,600 deposit to the architect. And it's my understanding that the architect, this is from my client, I have not spoken to the architect, but this is my understanding that the architect has been in contact with the appropriate city officials to get the planned parking. There's obviously engineering, there's landscaping, there's drainage, all those issues have to be developed. But as far as I know, there's no permits issued at this point, and no work has been done on the parking area.
All right, let's hear from the city.
Good morning. My name is Denzel Sykes, Code Enforcement Manager. I'm stepping in for Mark Jones. He's unavailable today. Since the last hearing, which was June 14th, there's been no contact from the attorney or the property owners. And there have been complaints about the landscape from neighboring properties. At this time, staff recommends a fine of $250 a day, capped at $20,000.
Why isn't the property being maintained, Barry? It looks pretty raggedy to me.
That's the first notice I've heard about that. I've been working on the issue or trying to monitor the issue with regard to the parking. The property had been cited for being unkept, and it was brought into a kept status from at least during the prior hearings. This is the first notice I've received that the property is not looking unkempt and that there's landscape issues. Those issues have been corrected. They had been previously cited and they had been previously corrected. My understanding was the only issue was parking.
Okay, Mr. Sykes, I can see the overgrowth for myself. I know we've been dealing with the parking forever. Is the outside storage and the junk vehicles still a current matter, or is that resolved?
The vehicles are gone. It's just the landscape now.
Okay, so it's landscaping and the parking.
Correct.
All right, and I'm almost afraid to ask this because okay. Refresh my recollection. They are supposed to install a new parking lot?
Correct.
Yeah, I think the city's requiring them to put in an asphalt parking lot. It's a fourplex, so there'd be 8 required parking spots, I believe.
So what is the problem? It seems like we've been dealing with this for a long time.
You were dealing with the prior owners. There were issues, as I understand, we originally had an engineer, and I actually saw a check to the engineer. That engineer indicated that he was too busy to do the work and returned the check. We then subsequently had some other issues trying to get an engineer to do any work. I had contacted Newkirk Engineering because I had done some work with them, and they said they were just too busy to do the job. So Mr. Aversano, whose wife is a co-owner of the property, found this company. It is JY Construction Group. They've been retained, and they were retained in May of 2023, and they're down in Fort Lauderdale. We couldn't get anyone up here to do it.
And, okay, is there not an existing parking lot?
It's asphalt, but I think the city wants something a little bit more involved. I'm sure they want parking stops. I would imagine they want it lined, and I would think they would want landscaping. Right now, it's probably, I think it's crushed millings that have some overgrowth on them, I would think, just looking at the pictures that you're putting on the screen.
That's all the asphalt you see that's closer to the street. In the back, that's hard pan. That's just dirt surface where vehicles been parking and no grass is growing.
Okay, we need a parking lot, Barry.
I
need
know.
a definitive date. If I don't get a definitive date, I gotta start fining people. So what do you propose?
I propose that we have a permit in hand by the next meeting. Once we get the permit, then we should be in good status to get the parking completed. But the permit's gonna be the key element.
All right, then I'm gonna continue this matter to our October 10, 2023 meeting.
Okay,
The reason I'm continuing it is to see this permit in hand that you're telling me would be the next step in the process as far as getting our way toward this parking lot.
that's fair.
And I'm leaving open the imposition of the fine, and if by the next meeting, the exterior looks like it does now, then I'm gonna fine the respondent for that. 10-4?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Case number 3, Thomas A. Libby. Morning, gentlemen. If you would please state your names and be sworn.
I'm Thomas A. Libby.
Sir, you go ahead and state your name.
Good morning, Greg Gimbert, neighbor.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Libby, do you agree this violation existed or occurred as stated in the notice of violation?
Yes.
All right, then I find the respondent in noncompliance. Mr. Inspector, what will it take for the respondent to come into compliance?
He will be repairing the west wall, and I believe he can have this accomplished by the next cutoff.
All right, city seems to think you need to repair a wall and that you ought to be able to have that done by October 4th. What say you to that?
Yes.
Okay, you can get it done.
Yes.
Okay. All right, then based upon our inspector's report and the response by the respondent, first off, I find the respondent in noncompliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by October 4, 2023, or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. As you've probably heard me tell others, if you run into hiccups along the way, please keep that gentleman posted,
Okay.
and that'll keep bad things from happening.
All right.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to you. Good to see you.
Yes, also.
Case number 4, GEA Seaside Investments Incorporated. Not seeing a respondent, what say the city?
John Stinson, Code Inspector with the city. Qualifications are on file. This is a field-generated case. Property owner was cited for unmaintained landscaping, broken and boarded windows, and damaged roof. The property was posted on 7/6/23. Compliance due by, August 6, 2023. The last visit to the property was yesterday. Property remains in noncompliance. We're asking for an order of noncompliance and compliance by the next cutoff.
Is that a tarp on the roof?
Yes, sir.
Do we know how long that tarp's been there?
For at least a month,
A month.
at least.
Okay. All right, noting the absence of the respondent based upon the inspector's testimony and the photographs presented, I find the respondent in noncompliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by October 4, 2023, or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. Case number 5, Socrates George and Argene Estelle Danielides. Good morning.
Good morning,
If you would state your name and be sworn by our secretary.
Socrates, George, Danielides.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Danielides, do you agree these violations existed or occurred as stated in the notice of violation?
Yes.
All right, then I find the respondent in noncompliance. Mr. Inspector, what should be required to come into compliance, and how much time should reasonably be expected to take?
I would think 30 days to next cutoff.
All right, Mr. Danielides, the city seems to think you ought to be able to have these things taken care of by October 4, 2023. What say you to that?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
You think so?
That fence is not my fence. That, I took care of that.
Okay, so you've already
Pressure
started
washer
on it.
is cleaned up, the holes are plugged
Okay.
with concrete. That door is going to be replaced.
Okay,
So that's about all I need to do, the doors and the painting.
all right, then I will order the respondent to come into compliance by October 4, 2023, or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. Please don't forget that once the work is done, you need to call him to come make a final inspection.
Yes, yes,
It's not done until the final inspection.
okay.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Case number 6, James Byrne. Anyone here for the respondent? Not seeing a respondent, what say the city?
Oh, I'm sorry, you got all
James
sidetracked.
Byrne.
James Burns. This is a field-generated case for violations of peeling paint, missing roof shingles, rotted fascia boards, hazardous open electrical box. The hazardous open electrical box is in compliance as of yesterday by Giles Electric. First notification was 6/20/23, and 7/20/23 was the compliance date. I inspected yesterday, and other than the electrical, it is in non-compliance. The staff requests compliance, non-compliance, compliance by next cutoff, October 4th.
All right, noting the absence of the respondent based upon our inspector's testimony and the photographs presented, I find the respondent in non-compliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by October 4, 2023, or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. Case number 7, Vacation Rentals, LLC. Anyone here for the respondent? Not seeing a respondent, what say the city?
This is a field-generated case for violations of damaged, missing sign, overgrown landscape, and address missing from the structure. The overgrown landscape and the missing address are in compliance. The sign remains in non-compliance. First notification was June 27/23. Compliance date by 7/29/23. Yesterday was the most recent inspection. Staff recommends a non-compliance compliance by next cutoff, please.
Based upon our inspector's testimony and the photographs presented, noting the absence of the respondent, I find the respondent in non-compliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by October 4, 2023, or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter.
Thank you, sir.
Case number 8, RE Equity Investment Group LLC and JJ Equity LLC. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
If you would please state your name and be sworn by our secretary.
My name is Joaquin Brito,
Sorry, can you spell that?
Joaquin, last name Brito.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Brito, your affiliation with the respondent?
I'm one of the owners on the property and a contractor as well.
Very good. Do you agree these violations existed or occurred as stated in the notice of violation?
Yes, sir.
And I find the respondent in non-compliance. Mr. Inspector, what's required and how much time should reasonably be required for the respondent to come into compliance?
Inspector Jean-Baptiste with the city, certified inspector. At this time, a lot is required. There is a permit application that needs to be followed through. So they have to go through the permitting process. So at this time, just about 30 days just to go through that process, please. And then thereafter, we'll see where they are in their progress.
Looks like work's already underway. What are we doing?
It needs to be finished.
Okay, what is the plan? What are they doing? I doubt it's going to be a funeral home again.
Is that what it was? Oh.
Sure.
Well,
Been
he could speak to what other
Been there a
plans.
few times.
He can
I'm an
speak
old
to what
man.
other plans. I'm not sure what his plans are, but initially when the case was cited, it's because the property was basically bare bones. It was in a dilapidated state, but at present, these pictures were taken a couple days ago. They are in the process of working through the working.
What's game plan, Mr. Brito?
Well, that property, we are redeveloping the whole property into a 18-unit apartment building. We waited for the city took a year to approve the site plans, and then several months to approve the permits. And as soon as they approved the permit, we got on it. I mean, we've been working ourselves, but there's only so much we could do when it comes to submitting the plan and waiting on the city to approve the project and the permit. So all the permits are
Site
approved.
plan approval?
Yeah.
You do.
And then all the permits
You've
as
made
well.
your permit applications.
They're all approved, and we're working on
Got a
it.
guesstimate as to when you think permits are gonna appear? And I understand it's a,
Permits already in. We're working on already.
you already have your permit.
We've been working on it for the last month and a half. We got all the
You have
permits.
permits to build what, an 18-unit multifamily structure?
Yes, yes, sir. And we've been working on it for the last month and a half, but it's
So then we're not just tidying up an old funeral home, we're converting this
to a
to a new
multifamily.
building.
Yes, sir. Residential.
Okay, well, the only complaint, or the only thing I've heard mentioned here so far was just the pendency of permits.
Right. At this point, if all the permits have been, they're working through the permit, we would like to see a progress report if possible, if that's agreeable to you, just so we can see how things progress along.
Understood. Understood. Well, since you already have your permits, then the only thing I'm interested in right now are progress reports up to the point in time where we can reasonably project a compliance date. Compliance meaning you're done with everything. I understand you've made a bigger, better mousetrap, and more power to you. But that is now your compliance date when that's done. So, since you have permits and work is underway, and I assume all that work is going to cure all these
Yeah,
things.
absolutely.
Then,
We're
what do
thinking
you want, a couple
November.
months for a progress report?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
And, I mean, this project is not going to be done till next year.
Understand?
Yeah, we want me to come back and give you a report and pictures of the project.
You don't need pictures, you just want to come back and tell us what kind of progress you've made over the course of the last 2 months. You just want to satisfy me that work is proceeding in good faith, and that buys you all the patience that I have.
Okay.
If on the other hand, all of a sudden contractors are disappearing and we can't find our architects and our engineers move to Brazil, then all of a sudden things are going to get ugly.
Okay.
Okay, so that sounds good. Work is underway, then I will order this matter be rescheduled for our November 14, 2023 meeting for a progress report. I don't want to say determination of a compliance date, that'd be probably premature. So let's have a progress report and then we'll go from there.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, good luck to you.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
Okay, case 9 we've already done. Case 10, Allison and William Fleck. Anyone here for the respondent?
Yes, sir.
Sir,
We're here by
present on Zoom.
We are here by Zoom.
Very good. If you would please be sworn by our secretary.
Good morning, Kim.
Good morning. State your name
Allison Fleck.
and who
Billy.
else? Who else is with you?
My husband, William Fleck.
I'm separate. I'm in my doctor's office, but that's okay. I'm here online.
I'm sorry, what was your name?
William Fleck.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, do we agree these violations existed or occurred as stated in the notice of violation?
I'm sorry, sir. What was that?
Do we agree these violations existed or occurred as stated in the notice of violation?
Yes, we do. We agree that there are violations. We completed 2 of them. We have a difficulty with the last one.
All right. I'll go ahead and find the respondents in noncompliance. Let's listen to our inspector about what needs to be done and how much time should reasonably be required to get it done.
Okay.
Inspector Bostwick, credentials on file with the city. What needs to be done is the tree right there that fell from the neighbor's property, that's on their property now, needs to be removed.
And do we have any idea how much time that should take?
Next cutoff.
Okay, the city says something about a tree being removed and also telling me you ought to have it done by October 4th. What say you to that?
What the issue we have, sir, is that my contractor tells me, I know that the law is if it falls from someone else's property, whoever's on mine, I have to remove, that's fine. But there are limbs reaching over to another property that if I cut, I'm not allowed on their property, I'm not insured on their property. If those limbs are cut, could potentially damage their home. So I was requesting that the person behind us cut their portion. In fact, the contractor said, hey, you pay for your portion. It wasn't 50-50. It was, whatever the cost was for her versus the cost for me. And I'd be happy to get rid of it. But if I cut that tree at the property line, which is where I'm allowed to cut, those limbs potentially could damage the house behind us. And that's why we were hesitant, because we don't want to take a chance and create an unsafe condition.
What are they talking about, Mr. Inspector?
All right. The tree is like, there's one trunk right here and the other one is going in this direction. This part is laying on their property. This one is pretty much like on the fence line between their property and the homeowners to the east. So their concern is that if they take care of their piece, what they want is for everybody to come together and chip in. That's not what I'm here to do. They're the property owners. If they want to handle it that way, they need to come down here, get with the homeowner next to them, and try to split up this cost.
Well, let me ask you, if you don't mind, sir. Is the person where the limb is hanging over their house a potential hazard due to arrive or to be at this meeting today? Because they should be. And I'm willing to do what I have to do. We've owned this property for over 20 years, maybe 25 years, and we've maintained it consistently with the city. And everyone at the city knows us and knows that we would. And in fact, the woman the limb is hanging over the roof, they parked their car on my lawn, and I had to put signs up for them to move it. So it's like, I don't know what else to do. I mean, I got them to move the car because I put the no trespassing signs, and I'll maintain that. I continuously cut the lawn, which I would do anyway. But at the tree, I'm just afraid, God forbid, something falls, right? I want to be reasonable. If something falls and hurts that house or hurts someone, I don't want to be liable for that, and I shouldn't be. I think that the professional way to do this, the right way to do this, is for that person to hire their person. Doesn't have to be my person. It could be anybody they want. Cut the limb off their property line, selectively take it out of the way so it could do no harm or damage to their property. And then if it rolls off on my property, I don't care because there's nothing to damage. And I'll cut it up and take it out.
Okay,
Eric.
City Attorney, I give this to you. My question is not to resolve his problem with his neighbor. My question is, to what extent can I order a respondent to do something that he feels poses a reasonable threat to cause damage to another person's property? Can I order him to do that? I mean, my simple solution would be to say, okay, the simple solution would be to say whoever owned the tree to clean the mess up to begin with. Okay, but that implies the fact that it's already on this gentleman's property, and now it's also extending over another property, the respondent for whom is not out there right now. And I don't feel like being Solomon today. So the question becomes, to what extent can I order this man to do something if he has a reasonable suspicion that doing so will cause damage to another property?
I would
other issue-
suggest getting an arborist to make an evaluation to see exactly what and how the tree can be trimmed, and, because from what I'm seeing, it appears a portion of the tree is still living. There's a portion of the tree that has broken off and died. Get an arborist out there, a professional that can evaluate and determine what can be done to protect all the properties.
Okay, you've been on site,
Yes,
you've seen this tree.
yes.
He says part of it's overhanging neighboring property, is that correct?
Maybe by 15%.
The base of the tree is also not on our property. It's on the property behind us. So it is the neighbor's tree that fell on the fence dividing our house and the house to the left of, to the side of us. That's the issue. It's not our tree.
That is correct, and that case,
If I can interject.
excuse
Can
me,
I
sir.
Just interject quickly. It's, our arborist is not going to tell you anything other than the fact that it has to be cut in a certain way. I do not have the insurance, and if the city wants to indemnify me for any damage, I cannot send another person or a contractor.
Just a second, all right, stop talking for a minute. The picture I'm looking at, it looks as though there's a tree above a roof line. Is that this tree or is that a different tree?
That's the tree.
That's the, okay, that is the tree.
Right. That is the
Definitely
tree.
over someone else's roof line.
Yeah, that's the tree. That's one of the limbs that's reaching up, to the corner, and the other limb is on this side. They are correct that the base of the tree is on the property owner to the north, George Alvarez. His property has already been cited for the same case. As a matter of fact, we're here today for SMG 09-23-198 to fine him $250 a day for non-compliance.
This is the owner of the tree.
Exactly.
Okay, so the only one we don't have here is the resident of that house.
Correct.
The resident of that house, who may very well be the only one with a legal right to cut off anything extending over his property. I don't need to be a chair lawyer here. Okay, so the person that owns the tree is already before us.
He's here today. Well, I doubt they're here today because I haven't had any contact with them. But we're here today to impose a fine on that property
For what?
for non-compliance,
For not removing the tree?
for not cleaning up their vacant lot that's full of trash, debris, overgrown, everything.
But does that include this tree?
Yep. Their portion
We have had the property
of the
mowed,
tree.
cleaned up, and the car removed.
Okay.
We cleaned up our property, yes. The other property.
Okay, folks, he's talking about a neighboring property. Stop talking for a second.
Okay.
Seems to me we need to be citing the property owner that has the limbs hanging over his property if we're gonna look for any kind of resolution here. I don't know that all three of them don't have the same problem, and that is to what extent can I clean up something that may impact a neighboring property? Now, the one that's already here, I can certainly understand it, and all the other violations, I can understand that too. But it seems to me we're not gonna get a resolution until we get the missing property owner in here.
Exactly.
All I can say about that is the missing property owner has, from what I was told by the contractor who went over there and spoke to them, that the property owner does not want to have anything to do with this. That's what I was just told.
Okay, well, until he signs a release saying a tree limb coming through my living room and busting up my 48-inch Sony is signed, and he doesn't have that luxury. So that having been said, has he given anybody consent to come onto his property to remove trees?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. All right, well, I guess these are the folks that are in the middle because the base of the tree's on one property.
Correct.
And the limbs are overhanging yet another property.
And maybe like 60 to 70% is on their property also.
Right.
Right.
This is vacant property.
Correct.
Aside from landing on the neighbor's house, is there any life safety issue here?
I mean, if we get another storm comes through here or something like that, you know, who knows? The tree that fell, it's part of it is rotting, you know, it could collapse. I don't know.
Well, again, that brings me back to the question of, okay, are these people allowed to just take a chainsaw and cut a limb off at their property line and then just watch it land on the neighbor's roof?
I don't want to speak for the contractor, but I did meet with him out there yesterday, okay? And he says that he has the equipment that can get the job done. That's what he told me. Maybe they can speak to that, because I'm quite sure they've been in touch with him also. I don't know.
May I speak?
Yeah.
Okay. What I don't understand is the tree's not mine, and yet I have to do the whole job and take a risk. It doesn't make sense. Those limbs that are hanging over the roof were not caused by me. It was unforeseen condition, an act of God, okay? And I don't want to take the chance with the contractor, under my contract, him taking, I don't care what equipment he has, he can have sky hooks to pick these limbs up. God forbid something happens, I'm on the hook. I can't do that. It's not legal. I mean, unless someone indemnifies me and says, okay, if any damages happens, I'll hold you harmless, you're indemnified. You know, I used to be in the construction business for 40 years before I retired. And I've never had a problem, but I do know that there's a big risk there. You know? And I don't want to have I don't want to have my contractor, I'm not there, take the chance, and all of a sudden call me up and say, oh, I made a mistake. I'm a contractor. The limb fell on the house. You're going to have to pay for it. That's not fair to me. It's a hardship.
Okay, what does the neighbor have to say about all this?
Neighbor that hasn't talked to me and hasn't talked to the contractor. All the neighbor said, and this is what I'm speaking to you through what I heard from the contractor, is that she came over and moved the car, right? He asked, he goes, would you pay for me to take it off? She goes, no, I'm not paying anything, and left, and has not gotten involved at all. In fact, I don't even know why she's not here. She's got the most dangerous situation of all of us.
All right, Mr. McKeljic, speaking to Mr. Sykes, what we're gonna do, we're gonna cite the neighbor's property to the west. So we would like to right now just amend this case to the next cutoff.
I agree. Well, I would amend this case to the next cutoff. You mean continue it to the next meeting?
Yeah, continue it until we need like some time to cite the property owner to the west to see if they're willing to cut the branches that's on their side of their property.
Okay, now, the owner of the tree, I
Mm-hmm.
understand he's already before us,
Correct.
and I think you've already answered this. But part of his violation already is that a chunk of this tree is on his property still.
Correct, sir.
And it needs to be removed.
Correct.
So he's already been cited for that.
Correct.
Okay, well then, I would propose continuing this matter until the neighbor is cited and joined. And I do mean joint. I want to be able to consolidate this in some fashion. So the neighbor can either say, yes, I'll chip in, or I'll go ahead and waive anything if somebody's going to step up and do this. Because I don't know to what extent I have the authority to tell him to assume a risk of damage to someone else's property if I'm shown a realistic chance of some damage being done. And I can see that just from the photos I'm looking at.
Okay, the only thing I would like to add is this case was all back up on May 17th. And if you go all the way back to those May 17 pictures, like this photo, they just got this lot cut over the weekend. This grass was like 4 feet high, as you can see right there. So they're not maintaining this lot on a monthly basis. So I just like to make sure.
Let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to get the neighbor in here. In the meantime, you mow that property. You hear me?
It's been mowed, sir.
Okay,
It's
well,
been mowed.
I'm glad it's been mowed. Keep it mowed. Keep it mowed.
Yes, I have.
And I'll work with you while we try to figure this out. If I come back again and it looks unsightly other than the tree, then you might get fined. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to continue this matter. We're going to join the neighbor so we can talk to both property owners simultaneously. And we're going to try to resolve the matter as best we can. But in the interim, I don't want to hear any gripes about the property looking like crap other than the tree. 10-4?
My goodness, why are you yelling at us? We've been maintaining it
Because
for
you're on
20
Zoom,
years.
you're like 5,000 miles away.
Sir, that's fine.
I don't even know
We
that
will
you can hear
maintain
me.
it. We always have. We're respectable citizens. People trash shit. We picked it up for over 20 years. We picked up trash and mowed that lawn all the time. We know everyone in the city. When they talk to us and let us know, we're very honorable people. We don't want to get somehow, I don't know how this happened. It's very logical to me. Somehow, someone's putting the cart before the horse. I don't know if they're friends with this neighbor or what, but if it's a very simple situation, they remove their limbs, I'd be happy to take the tree out. I could do it in one day once I tell the contractor to move. But I really don't want to be responsible for something that could potentially cause damage, which the city doesn't want either. Not only damage, but potentially hurt someone if they're sitting in the house. It's not logical and it's not fair. I have a hardship here. It's not my tree. I'll move the piece out as soon as I'm able to when the neighbor takes the branches off their home. And I just want to be fair about this.
Well, so do I, which is why I'm continuing this until the neighbor is in here. And then I'm going to decide what we're going to do, and y'all are going to do it, or you're going to get fined.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
Okay.
So we will continue this until the
My
neighbor-
only concern, sir, is that we want to be on record that we have been maintaining it for 20 years. We've never not done whatever the township asked us to do.
Very good. All right, so just keep the property maintained in the interim until we get this resolved. We'll get the neighbor in here. If the neighbor wants to cooperate, good, we'll figure it out. If the neighbor doesn't want to cooperate, I'll figure it out. But
Thank you.
one way or another,
Okay, that's fair enough.
We'll make a
That's fair enough. Thank you,
determination
sir.
and we'll go from there.
Yes, sir.
And
Thank
in
you.
the meantime, don't concern yourself with anybody singling you out or torturing you or trying to make your life miserable. You're just unfortunate enough to inherited a bad tree. So that having been said,
that's right.
We'll be talking again. You have a good day.
Thank you for coming to work today.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good day. Now, just for my edification, how long does it take to get a notice out to a new respondent and get the respondent before us?
I can get a notice out today, and I can give them 10 days to come into compliance.
I mean, it's up, whatever works for you. It doesn't matter to me whether we hear this in October, November. You don't need to break your neck to do it. That's all I'm trying to say. But I'll leave that to y'all.
Okay.
So at some point, what I would like to have happen is this matter's brought back up on the agenda the same time the new one's on. I would like both to be on the same agenda so we can consolidate them.
Absolutely.
Okay? All right, Kim, did I enter any kind of orders there? I think we found them in non-compliance, and then we continued any determination until the neighboring property was joined in these proceedings. All right. Pardon? Do we want to pick a meeting date right now? I mean, that's up to y'all and your inspector. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, it'd probably be November.
All right, we'll continue to the November meeting. That gives you enough time to do what you need to do?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll continue to the November meeting. All right, I don't know if they're still available or not, but I guess we'll get the word to them.
Yes, I have their email address and phone number.
Great. Okay. Case number 11, Thu Wen No Min Ho Nguyen No Trung. I hope someone is here for the respondent because this goes on for a while. and Na Win Thi Thu, and Trey Win No, and Tam Win Huang Min. Okay, anyone here? Let's move on.
All right, this case was a citizen's complaint opened on July 11 of 2023 for overgrown vacant lot. First notification was on July 24 of 2023. Property was posted. Compliance was due by August 3rd of 2023. Last day of reinspection was September 6th of 2023. Result non-compliance. There's been no contact from the owner. Staff requests a finding of non-compliance with compliance due next cutoff.
Are all these people actually on the deed?
Yes, sir.
11, I believe.
11
There's
people.
11.
All right, noting the absence of the respondent, based upon our inspector's testimony and the photographs presented, I find the respondent in non-compliance and order the respondents to come into compliance by October 4, 2023, or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. Case number 12, Darrell Jones. Anyone here for the respondent? Not seeing a respondent, what say the city?
All right, this case was citizen's complaint opened on June 20th of 2023, overgrown vacant lot, trash and debris. First notification was on June 30th. Property was posted. Compliance was due by July the 12th. Last day of reinspection was September 11th of 23. Result non-compliance with no contact from the owner. Staff requests a finding of non-compliance with compliance due next cutoff.
Noting the absence of the respondent, based upon our inspector's testimony and the photographs presented, I find the respondent in non-compliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by October 4, 2023, or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. Ashley Marie Gilbert. Anyone here for the respondent?
Inessa Hanson on behalf of Ashley Gilbert.
Raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Your affiliation with Ms. Gilbert?
We're the previous owners of the lot.
Pardon?
We are the previous owners of the lot. We sold the lot to her,
Okay.
the vacant lot. Our intention was to build something on that lot. Unfortunately, we are out of the country too much, and it's almost impossible for us to find someone to do the work, so we just sold the lot to her. We have already gotten most of it into compliance. It was getting those 2 containers sold. We finally have sold them. Coming next Tuesday to pick both containers up. It's just been taking a while to find. It's crazy. You can't find anybody to do anything in Florida right now. But they did commit to coming by next Tuesday. Could be sooner than next Tuesday to pick both of those containers up.
Okay, where is Ms. Gilbert?
She's out of state right now. She's in Ocean City, Maryland, working.
Okay, and she knows you're here on
She
her
knows
behalf?
I'm here. Yes.
Okay. And she understands that you're going to be making commitments on her behalf?
Well, I'm making commitments on my behalf because it was our containers that we sold that are getting removed.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on anyway. So I take it the pictures are self-explanatory and you want it gone by October 4th?
Correct.
Okay. And it sounds as though that's your game plan anyway.
That is correct.
All right. Based upon the testimony of our inspector and Ms. Hanson, I find the respondent in non-compliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by October 4, 2023, or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. Again, if there's any hitch in the giddy-up, contact this gentleman and keep him posted.
Okay.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Case number 14, Derek Smith. Anyone here for the respondent? Not seeing a respondent, what say the city?
All right, this case was opened up on August 1st of 2023. August 1st of 2023. It was field generated. First notification was on August 1st of 2023. Property was posted. Compliance was due by August 14th of 2023. Last day of reinspection was September 11th. Result, non-compliance. There's been no contact from the owner. Staff requests a finding of non-compliance with compliance due next cutoff.
Noting the absence of a respondent based upon our inspector's testimony and the photographs presented, I find the respondent in non-compliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by October 4, 2023, or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. Case number 15, 1995 Big Island Trust dated August 8, 2020. Is there anyone here for the respondent? Not seeing a respondent, what say the city?
Good morning, Sarah Kirk, inspector with the city. My credentials are on file. This is a complaint-driven case that I received November 17th of 2022 for work without permit, damaged and rotted exterior, and no rental license or business tax receipt. First notification was April 29th of 2023. Compliance was due May 15th of 2023. I re-inspected the property on 9/5/23. It's still in non-compliance. Staff's recommending a finding of non-compliance with compliance by the next cutoff.
All right, noting the absence of the respondent based upon the inspector's testimony and the photographs presented, I find the respondent in non-compliance and order the respondent to come into compliance by October 4, 2023, or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. Case number 16, Willie Gilmore. Anyone here for the respondent? Good morning.
Good morning.
If you would state your name and be sworn.
Juliet Parker.
Do you swear or confirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
And your affiliation with Willie Gilmore?
That's my dad.
Okay. All right. Do you agree these violations existed or occurred as stated in the notice of violation?
Yes.
All right. I find the respondent in non-compliance. Madam Inspector, how much time should reasonably be required for the respondent to come into compliance?
Next cutoff.
Inspector seems to think you ought to be able to have this stuff done by October 4th. What say you to that?
I say that may not be enough time because we are actually renovating all of the units there. The building next to it is over 100 years old, plus this one is coming near 100 years. That apartment has been vacant. We evicted a tenant, and the tenant, when we gave the eviction notice, the tenant actually called code enforcement. So we weren't aware of all the issues that were in there until the tenant was evicted. So, but we are actually renovating all of those units on.
How many units are we talking about?
It's 3 in that building and it's 3 in the other building.
And how long have you been at it now?
We just completed 1 unit.
And what is 573 Cedar? Is that one building or more than one building?
It's 1 building with 3 units.
When you say units, 3 separate structures?
No, it's 3. It's 1 building, but it has 3 units in the 1 building. In the same.
Like 3 apartments in the building?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. It's 3 apartments.
All right. And this is 605 South Martin Luther King. Why does it say that?
Because there is 2 structures on 1 parcel, and the two structures each has 3 units, and then there's a store in the bottom of the one. That's a mixed use, and then the other structure is the 1 building with 3 apartments in it.
All right. So you're telling me, all right, let me back up. Are the violations we're looking at 1 unit, more than 1 unit?
That's
Entire building?
it's 1 apartment in 573. It was a tenant complaint that I received in January of 2023.
These violations are for 1 of the apartments?
Correct.
And then okay, is that apartment now empty?
Yes, it's been vacant since we evicted the tenant.
All right, and you're renovating this along with 2 other units?
We're going to start renovating that one. We just renovated 1 of the units in the other building. Remember, there's 2 structures.
Okay, well, in any event, we're all on the same page that these violations pertain to a single unit, and we're all in agreement as to which unit we're talking about.
Yes.
And that unit is now empty.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the inspector has said you ought to be able to have this done by October 4th. What say you to that?
I say no to that because we're needing the funding to get them fixed, as well as that particular unit, well, the whole building is almost 100 years old. Well, let me go back. Some of the things that she's requiring, some of the violations is the windows, the door, electrical, right? And the wall. We're actually going to go in and redo the entire unit. This is also a historic,
Unit or the entire building?
the entire unit, and eventually getting to the other units. So just sticking with where we are, this unit is going to be redone, right?
When?
Within, I would say, 90 days or so.
Is it secured right now?
Yes.
So nobody can break in, nobody can get in there?
No. Can I add some more to that? No.
What?
Can I add more to that?
Sure.
The unit, the building is historical, unofficially. So the violations as far as the windows, there's historical windows in there where, so the violation is asking for is to put locks on the windows. Those windows, you can't put locks on them. They're 90-year-old windows where they're wood frame, everything. So it's going to require us to actually go in and either get a historical preservation contractor, or we're going to have to go in and reframe and redo in order to put aluminum windows in there, which requires a whole construction phase, right? So we're probably going to go that route versus bringing, it's probably going to cost us more to bring a historical preservation person in there, a restoration person, than to just change it all out to new. So what I'm saying is really we need more time. And I'm talking 6 months to a year. What we're doing, we are actually in the middle of transferring the property over to us kids. My father's 84 years old. He's had it since 1974. The building, the entire property, both structures have lots of issues, right? We are in the middle of trying to get it transferred to us so that we can get the funding to be able to renovate them all. We've renovated one. We've completed the renovation on the one, which has been brought to this court also, and we did finish it.
Okay, all right. The matter I have before me is a single unit. How do we identify this unit?
Apartment 1, 573.
Pardon?
573 is the address, apartment 1.
All right, with regard to 573, apartment 1, that's what's before me now.
Mm-hmm.
First off, based on everything I've heard, if I haven't said it already, I find the respondent in noncompliance. You tell me you're renovating it. You tell me the unit's empty. Okay? As long as the unit is kept empty, and as long as the unit is secured to city standards, then I can be a little more relaxed when it comes to the time to bring it into compliance if what you're telling me is you're doing things to seriously upgrade the property.
Correct.
Which I consider a benefit to you and everyone around you. So, without getting too much further into the weeds as far as all of your plans for the overall property, then what I'm proposing that we do is, I've already found the property in noncompliance. You're going to come back to my November 14, 2023 meeting to give me a progress report, and at that point, we will consider establishing a compliance date, because you've thrown a lot of variables at me that may or may not come into play.
Correct.
All of this is conditioned on that unit remaining empty and not being rented, utilized, or occupied by anyone until such time as it's in compliance and it's secured to city standards. So nobody can be breaking into it or what have you. Okay. Are we all good?
Correct. Yes, and I stay in contact with Ms. Kurt, and
Absolutely.
I do, and even on the other units. And
okay. Well, we'll take the other units if and when they come before me, but that's how we're going to deal right now with apartment 1. So with that, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Case number 17, Florida LLC. Anyone here for the respondent? Not seeing a respondent, what say the city? Pardon? Come on up. We're talking 710 Loomis? Okay, state your name and be sworn.
Leandra Franco.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Leandra Franco.
So, Leandra,
Yes, ma'am.
raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, why are you here, Ms. Franco?
Well, I basically have just concern for living there, just because
Okay,
I have
hang on, and I'll get to you in a minute.
Sounds
I
good.
don't need you right this second, but I'll
Oh.
come back to you in just a second. Okay,
Okay. This is a tenant complaint that I received on May 25th of 2023 for an expired rental license, defective and unsanitary interior surfaces, ceiling caving in, broken, damaged doors, defective windows, missing locks, front door not weather tight, missing insect screens, loose electrical outlet, inoperable stove. I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong one, excuse me. Ceiling caving in, weak flooring, missing interior doors, missing insect screen, broken windows, inoperable appliances, and an unpermitted bathroom. First notification was a posting on June 30th of 2023. Compliance was due August 1st of 2023. I did an exterior site visit on September 1st, and it's still in non-compliance as far as I'm concerned. And staff's recommending a finding of non-compliance with compliance by the next cutoff.
okay. Ms. Franco, what did you want to say?
Well, first of all, none of those appliances are in my house.
Do you live at 710 Loomis?
I do. I put my own appliances in there because there was none there when I came in.
Okay,
Now, when I came in the place for a tour, it was just where I set a date. I was able to check out the home. There was no running water, no lights on. Basically, I signed an as-is lease. But so when I turn the water, the kitchen light, the switch doesn't work very well. The ceiling in that bedroom has paneling over it. It's not hanging over the thing, but the closet doors still aren't fixed. Like, it's kind of a hazard when it comes to having a toddler living in my house. Now, the one bathroom that you had showed, the toilet, yes, that one.
all right.
Toilet works.
Just a second. So I assume you can corroborate much of what she's saying about the condition.
Absolutely, but
All right,
they
hang
did
on,
fix a
hang on.
couple things.
That's all I need for now. Find the respondent in non-compliance. How much time to come into compliance?
Next cutoff.
Okay. The city has suggested that Florida LLC ought to rectify all these matters by October 4, 2023. I assume you don't have any problem with that.
Well, I'm not the rental company. I would love for them to fix my stuff.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay, now, I don't want to cut you off. What else did you want to say?
I love my home.
And it looks like crap,
I know,
and your
but,
landlord's not doing anything to fix it,
right?
and that's Florida LLC. Who is Florida LLC?
Well, I know them as Sunbelt Pros.
Sunbelt what?
Pros, SUNBELTPROS.com.
Registered agent is Ben Spivey.
Okay.
I have phone numbers. I have like 3 or 4 different phone numbers for them.
Well, I can't guarantee you your habitat's going to improve, but I can guarantee you if it doesn't, they'll get the bejeebies fined out of them. That's about as much as I get to do.
Well, if something comes along, like, so I'm really not sure exactly what's going to happen for me and my kid when it comes to this matter, though.
Okay. All right, well, I wish you luck, but in the meantime, I'm going to order the respondent to come into compliance by October 4, 2023, or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. Good luck to you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Case number 18, Jonathan Worsham III, Allison Worsham, Patrick Worsham. Where's the Worsham clan? They're usually here. Okay, here for the determination of a compliance date. Not seeing a respondent, what say the city?
The city's checked with planning and they're still working on it, working on getting the permits. We're asking for compliance date of next cutoff.
Okay. What's new with this saga? It's been going on for a while. Any development since the last time we talked about it?
No, sir. Not that I've been told.
I don't even know what it is they're in the process of doing. What are they in the?
They're processing, they're trying to get the plans approved to make it not a vacant lot anymore.
Right.
And to actually put a building on the property.
Okay.
So they can have an actual use for the property, so they can actually use the property the way they're intending to use it as a storage yard.
Do they have some sort of administrative thing going on right now that I need to know about?
They've just been working with the planning department to get the project approved. Once the project's approved, then the permits can be issued.
All right, well, when was the last time they communicated with the city what's going on or what the status of their efforts are?
They're back and forth with, they keep on submitting the project, and the city tells them what's wrong with the project, what was wrong with their submittals, and they're slowly getting back to them, but they are getting back to them.
All right, so we've got some interaction with the city, but I'm not getting the sense that anything's moving forward. They're usually here. All right. I'm going to go ahead and set a compliance date for November 8, 2023. Hang on a second. Why bother doing that? This gentleman talking to somebody? Yeah.
She said she didn't get a note. I have her right here if you want to talk to her. Not sure how you want to do it.
Stick your phone up to the microphone. Maybe somebody can tell me where this stands.
What is your name?
Roger Washington.
Roger Washington.
Hold on. Okay.
Testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
All right. And Ms. Worsham, the question is, we're here to determine a compliance date. What do you propose in the way of a compliance date?
Well, we can't, I don't think we have a compliance date yet. We just received, our third, round of comments from the city on, last week. And we're working with the engineer and we're working with the, architect now, to get, the plans resubmitted. So we're still working with the city. They sent back about 7 pages of comments that we're working through.
Okay, do we foresee an end in this process at some point?
I sure hope so before, I hope so. We're doing all we can. Every time they come back with comments, it's like more requirements, and we're just doing our best to get it done. I have some testing to get done, and we're just doing our best to satisfy the city.
Well, with all due respect, I can't enter an order that says we're hoping for the best here. So how do I determine a compliance date here? What do you propose? Or at least a milestone that we can take a hold of and make certain that this thing is moving forward.
Okay, I anticipate getting a fourth submittal to the city within another week. And the city is taking on an average about 30 to 45 days to give us back a response. So can I please have like 60 days? I really, really expected this fourth submittal to be close to permit issuance.
All right, well, that was pretty close to, that was about what I was getting ready to do anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this matter to our November 8, 2023 meeting. But I'm putting everyone on notice. At that point, I'm expecting to establish a compliance date. You know, I'm getting this sense that we've been in some administrative quagmire for a long, long time here. And if it ain't going to happen, it ain't going to happen. So I'm expecting to establish a compliance date at, I'm sorry, did I say November 8th? I'm sorry, November 14th, 2023 meeting. So I'm going to continue this matter to our November 14, 2023 meeting, but I'm letting everybody know that I'm expecting to establish a compliance date at that time.
Yes, sir.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you. All right, case number 19 we've already done. Case number 20, Victory Temple of God Incorporated. Anyone here for the respondent?
Hello?
Yes, sir. If you would please state your name and be sworn.
R.T. Hillary?
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
This matter's here for a progress report. Are you going to be giving us a progress report?
We got the information before Labor Day from the city planning department, and our engineer's still working on it right now. He's telling me that he should have it taken care of by the end of resubmitted by the end of this week right here. And so, and then just like the previous person said, they've been taking about 30 to 45 days to respond to it. So, but we did get the tarp, that the picture that you just showed across there. We did get that stuff taken care of. We got the tarp, new tarp put up there, and we got a new, the doors and stuff closed up. I emailed the pictures over to Mr. Jones last night, that everything had been taken care of. All that, those carts, all that stuff is gone that you got on the pictures there. That was from the last time.
Okay, let's hear from Mr. Sykes.
Well, actually, this is Supervisor Jones' case, and it was here for a progress report. And the respondent did reply to my concerns, which was the tarps that were unsecured, and also the tree debris that was in the picture also. I'm not sure if that's been removed, and if it has not, it needs to be removed as well.
Yes, we've scheduled to get that done. The tree logs that somebody dropped on the property, yes.
Okay,
that's it.
All right, so when in the grand scheme of things, can somebody tell me where we are right now as far as this thing goes? What is it we're waiting for right now?
The approval of a site plan,
All right, and the site plan's been submitted,
yes. And
was it returned with any recommendations or what have you?
Could you repeat that, sir?
Was it returned to you for recommendations or corrections or what have you?
Yes, and that's what I was saying earlier. Our engineer said he should have it resubmitted back to them by the end of this week. And they've been normally taking, like the previous person said, between 30 and 45 days to reply back to us. So if we get it into them by Friday, probably about, I guess the latest will be 45 days from there before we get a response back from them.
All right, so once again, I'm hearing this 30 to 45 day bubble. You want me to bring it back in 30 days or 60 days?
Let's keep it consistent. 60 is fine.
Very good. All right, then I'm going to schedule this matter for another progress report for our November 14, 2023 meeting. And the hope at that point in time is that maybe we can establish a compliance date, but we're not going to worry about that right this second. But we'll have another progress report in 60 days on November 14th and go from there.
Okay, November 14th. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good luck to you.
All right, appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Case number 21, Indigo Lakes Golf Club, LP.
Morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Good morning. Everyone who's going to be speaking needs to give us their names and be sworn by our secretary.
Edward Peterson.
Carol Raymond. David Couch.
Do you, raise your hands. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, this matter is here for the imposition of a fine, so let's hear from our inspector first.
Good morning. Inspector Butler, credentials on file with the City of Daytona Beach. As it pertains to 312 Indigo Drive, since July court proceedings, I've had contact with the property manager, and there has been no progress. Staff requests to fine them $250 a day to a maximum of $25,000.
To a maximum of what now?
$25,000.
Okay, what say Mr. Peterson?
Yes, Your Honor. First of all, it hasn't been established that it is our property. I have given them surveys and their own PUDs on the development, and I've also gone to tax plats to show that their boundaries and their responsibility and what they pay taxes on. These are private properties that are owned, and the city doesn't even have the right to the street or the sidewalk because the PUD owns them. They just have the utilities there. They have their own maintenance crew. It has nothing to do with the golf course. Those culverts and outfalls have been put in for the development themselves. It has no way to do anything with the golf course, and I have no access to it, even if it was. This is a piece of vegetation that sits on the lake bank, and the culverts are the responsibility of the homeowners, and I've given exuberant amount of surveys, PUDs, current surveys, pictures of the plats, all the property lines, everything that exists, everything that was put in. All these culverts were put in for the community, not for the golf course, and everything falls on their property lines. And it is all private property, sir.
312 Indigo and 400. What does that mean? 400 Indigo Drive?
Yes, sir.
Are 312 and 400 within the parameters of what we've already been studying and ruled upon?
Yes.
All right, well, then we're done talking about that. So now, are you going to do the work or not?
Your Honor, this property is not on our property.
I've heard the argument. We've given you multiple hearings. We've had special reviews of all the materials you've provided. We've made a determination that it is Indigo's responsibility. We're not going to argue it ad nauseum. The only question right now is whether you're going to do this work or just stand your ground and face the consequences.
Your Honor, is there a findings with the court, and how would you recommend I go about that?
The order was entered that it was your responsibility to maintain, to bring these culverts into compliance, that it was your obligation to perform what was required in the notice of noncompliance.
I understand that, but it's private property, and how am I supposed to go on private property and then be responsible for that?
Done with it. I'm done with it. I've looked at your surveys. I've looked at the titles. I've looked at the ordinances. I've looked at the plats. I've looked at the plans. I've looked at the specifications. I've looked at it all. I've looked at the aerials. I'm familiar with the boundaries. I looked at everything I needed to look at, and I made the determination that you are responsible for these overgrown culverts and the drainage requirements. Now I'm hearing they haven't been brought into compliance. I've made my ruling. So I guess what you're telling me is you ain't gonna do it.
Your Honor, what I'm asking is, how do I get to this here, which is on private property on a lake bank doesn't even belong to me? This is on a lake bank. I have no way to get to this.
We've already looked at it all, and we have satisfied ourselves that you do have the means and you do have the access to get the work done, and it was an obligation and it was a requirement assumed by Indigo from the very get-go. Now, all that having been said, is it your intent to come into compliance or not? Because that is something for me to take into consideration when he's asking me to fine you for non-compliance.
Okay, so are we Are we going to be able to go on private property to do this? And if
I'm
there's
not
any
answering
dam-
any more of your questions. I've looked at everything. I've entered my ruling. I'm not going to get caught cold with silly little anecdotal questions that without everything in front of me that I've already reviewed and studied twice. So, are you going to come into compliance or not?
Can do that, Your Honor.
You can do that.
Yes, sir.
How much time do you need to do that?
30 days.
30 days. 30 days you'll be in compliance.
Yes, sir.
Okay? I'm going to amend our current order of noncompliance until October 4 of 2023 for the respondent to come into compliance. Failing that, the respondent will be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I'd like to make a comment.
Go right ahead.
You're right, this has been going on for a long time.
Yep.
We have water moccasins that are all over the place. The grass is not being maintained, it was just mowed yesterday. I had a water moccasin when I walked out my front door that scared the crap out of me because they are very dangerous. This stuff needs to be taken care of. And at this point, I'm almost tempted to ask that the city buy the golf course because we're not going to be in compliance.
Okay, well, before you folks drag me any further into the stratosphere, and I have no desire to be there, the fact of the matter is, if this weren't a complicated issue, it would have been resolved a lot. Anyway, I'm going to tell you the same thing I told him. I've already looked at everything. I've already made my ruling, and now you, like he, are reiterating arguments. I'm sorry about the water moccasins. I don't know what to tell you there, and I hate snakes. So I don't know what else to say in that regard. But all that having been said, I am doing what I can. The respondent says he's coming into compliance. I'm going to take him at his word until October 4th. And then after that, if the property's not in compliance the way I have previously ordered, then I will do what needs to be done. I'm not here to sympathize with one side or the other. I understand his arguments, and he's got arguments. I understand your arguments, and you have arguments. Okay, I've looked at it all. I've made my ruling. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Case number 22, Stefan Lieb.
Morning.
Good morning.
To all and love to all.
If you would please state your names and be sworn.
Neville Kaiser.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay, this matter is here for the imposition of a fine. What say the city?
Since last hearing, there has been contact, the business is occupied, and there has been progress. The progress has been damaged vehicles have all been removed, the metal roof
Sorry,
has been...
start that over again.
Oh,
The damaged,
the damaged vehicles have been removed.
okay.
Metal roof has been painted, hole in the wall has been repaired, trash and debris has been removed, and the vegetation has been removed from the perimeter. The balance left is the fence repair and the BT. The staff is asking for $100 a day per day fine and plus a $250 BT. I have met the new business that is there. They are in the process of obtaining the BT, but they still do not have it.
Do we know why?
They still do not have it completely.
We got no tenants out. We did what you said. I don't know nobody here that could have done it in that time frame. The fence line itself, we got it cleared. It was under the impression that was said, fence line to be cleared.
What's left to be done with the fence?
Just the upper fence repair in the back. As you can see along the back, the vegetation has been removed well enough, but the fence does need to be repaired. I was just out there yesterday and obtained photos.
I glanced on the fence company, and if you could explain to me exactly as in the clock rail, 1 to 5/8, what is it? 2.5-inch terminals, rail ends.
He can get with you after the
Replaced, 'cause at this time,
meeting.
What's the problem with the business tax receipt?
The business tax receipt deal, he's just got in there, we're working on it, we have a form that we need to get notarized. Once we get that form notarized, he'll bring it down to the city, and then he'll go on with the rest of the process of opening up the business. He's a lieutenant. Just wanna say who done what I done and the time frame.
Okay,
good.
calm down, Superman.
Yeah,
Calm
thank
down.
you very much.
Calm down.
Kinda like that.
All right, now, this is an ugly property, and you have done a lot of work, and it has gotten a lot better. Let's finish it out. Do what you need to do to get the fence squared away and get that business tax receipt.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna amend our current order of noncompliance to allow the respondent until October 4, 2023 to come into compliance or be returned to the special magistrate to consider a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. Okay,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm losing a lot of time value versus, the SPX right now. I could be fluctuating different time value, but I'm
Okay,
thankful
well,
for you
let's-
guys. Hopefully this is the last time coming in, we'll get this done.
well,
Thank you, man.
no, hopefully about it.
Yeah, it will be.
Let's say goodbye now.
Yeah,
Let's say goodbye now, and you be in compliance by October 4th,
I will.
and then everything will be great.
Hopefully I don't got to come in here, I just call him up, he'll come out, but. I need to
Mr.
thank
Alderman
you
will be
all.
happy to come
Thank you.
visit you socially.
Thank
See you
very
later.
much. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you.
Case number 23, Waldemar Ruzinski.
I'm the property manager for Mr. Rosinski.
If you would please state your name and be sworn.
Deanne Leonardo, property manager.
Said Deanne. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, this matter is here for the imposition of a fine. What say, Mr. Stenson?
Good morning. Inspector Stinson, qualifications are on file. They finally got the tenants out. Fortunately, the tenants did not leave the property in good condition. So I'd like to, in this case, the October cutoff. Give them time.
Outside storage, parking in yard, damaged fencing, unlicensed rental property. Is there more to this than meets the eye?
No, sir. The damaged fencing is actually right there behind the debris. The parking violations are gone now that the tenants are gone. And when they do their cleanup, all of this
Okay,
outside.
so October 4th is reasonable.
Yes, sir.
Well, we have a dumpster scheduled for this Friday, so we should get the yard cleaned up by this weekend. And then we got to work on the inside. And Mr. Stenson is going to tell me when it's time to apply for the rental license.
And you had a tenant in here that you had to get rid of?
We had to evict him, yes.
Okay. All right, based upon the testimony of our inspector and the property manager and taking into consideration the extenuating circumstances, I will amend our current order of noncompliance to allow the respondent until October 4, 2023 to come into compliance or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. Good luck to you.
Thank you so much, appreciate it.
Welcome. Case number 24, Andre Rondo and Odette Peralt and Enos LLC. Good morning. If you would please state your name and be sworn.
My name
Raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
All right, 506 North Halifax, here for the imposition of a fine. All right, let's say the city.
Since the last hearing, city has received more complaints about the property. There has been additional work performed there without permits.
Sorry, I was busy laughing. There has been more what?
Additional work without the required permits. There is one active permit for the stucco and the windows. Tenants are just up in arms.
The who?
Tenant. There's only one tenant left at this point. But there's been very little progress. City is asking for the imposition of a fine of $250 per day to be capped at $25,000.
Okay, what kind of work have we done since the last time I saw you?
So the roof is completely done.
I'm sorry, what now?
Roof. And now we got the exterior window and stucco and the interior renovation permits. We already got everything. But now the tenants, we are in the eviction process. And actually my attorney already filed a motion to default. But her attorney requested something, but now my attorney also take a vacation, just come back from his vacation yesterday. And I called him, and he said he set up the hearing. Now it's a eviction process. Now, why we cannot go so fast? Because this tenant there, he's always make trouble. You know, a little bit of sound because that's wood. He just call enforcement, call policeman. We cannot do anything. And also, we have to replace all of windows before wrap the house to the next step. But we cannot continue make progress because she's there. So I'm just hoping we already got every the permits, interior, exterior. But now it's just wait for her completer to move out. By
For her
eviction.
what?
To move out because it's an eviction.
Okay, so you are in the process of an eviction.
Mm-hmm.
Does any of this work involve this tenant's unit?
Yeah.
Just a second.
Just interior work, yes, sir.
Pardon?
In some interior work, there's some plumbing needs to be done, and she still has to replace the windows.
Okay.
But that's the only
The
effect.
tenant that she's griping about, is the tenant an obstacle?
Not as far as the actual work. I think just the interaction between the two is not
Sketchy?
good. It's sketchy. I've already instructed her that all she has to do, as long as she has her permits, give the tenant the proper notification, and then they can get the work done. That's all they have to do.
The big issue now is the tenant, she doesn't cooperate. You know, she's calling, she just fight with everyone.
Okay, let me cut through the Felder carp here. You stepped into this mess, so
Yeah, I know.
you're gonna be dealing with it. And at the same time, Mr. Inspector, the city of Daytona Beach has been dealing with this thing for God knows how many years. So if there's some redemption somewhere in the future, I'm all for that. Now, that having been said, these photographs I'm looking at now, these are all current photographs?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so everything I'm looking at is going to be redone? Everything I'm looking at is going to be redone, replaced?
Yes, we do a renovation, complete renovation.
The eviction process you have going on right now, is this the only tenant in the building?
Yes.
So once this tenant's gone, there won't be any more tenant interference?
No. We have to complete it to renovation and get the inspection, get the rental license, and then put the tenant. That's what we do now. We will not put the tenant before get the rental license.
How many units are in this building?
3.
When you're done, what's the place gonna look like?
It looks like we got the permit for exterior stucco, so maybe. But another inspector, he knew the previous owner. He suggested put the siding. He said, "Why you do stucco? Maybe siding is better." So I'm just, but I already get a permit for stucco. So we need the first step. We need to change all of windows and then wrap the house and then put the wear on stucco. But
When do you expect to have the tenant out?
oh my gosh, I suppose the 1 week or 2 weeks already filed the motion to default, but her attorney asked to extension. But the whole point, she just wants to leave there for free as long as possible. She begged me to dismiss the case. She will move out by November. I said no way to wait that long. But now it's just during the process. She just constantly contact me because she doesn't have money, she doesn't work, and something all of excuse. The whole point, she just wants to stay there as long as possible to get money to move out.
Once the tenant's gone, how long is it gonna take for you to finish whatever it is you're doing?
I think that will be very quick because now we cannot continue do projects because she's up in the top, she's a little bit job, she just immediately come out to fight with me and call me and contact and oh my gosh, F words or something. I just never met these people. I just have to wait until she move out. To me, I think maybe my attorney yesterday told me you have to wait for the hearing.
When's the hearing?
Don't know yet. She said that he will let me know after he got the date. So after she moved out, we're very quick in a forward, very quick after she's out because now.
Who's your attorney?
Stephen Robinson.
Why am I finding the respondent, just out of curiosity?
Like you mentioned earlier, she kind of walked into this project. Unfortunately, since this project, or since she's been involved in this project, there have been so many complaints and so many different inspections with different outcomes, different types of work being done without permits, as you can see in this picture right here. If you look closely, the plumbing has been removed and being replaced, and there's no plumbing permits for that as well. This is a constant thing. The outside storage wasn't removed, it was buried.
Outside storage, what now?
The outside storage that was on the property wasn't actually removed, it was buried. I mean,
What's he talking about?
I don't know what he's talking about. With X.
Big pile of debris, backyard inside the fenced-in area. They brought in a big load of dirt, covered it all up. And these steps here,
okay.
they're originally wood. Now they have been retrofitted with concrete, and they are just beyond not in code. Unpermitted work as well. It goes on and on.
Okay, as it stands right now, does she have the permits that she needs to do whatever is required to come into compliance?
No, sir.
No.
Yeah.
No, sir.
What permits does she need?
You will need full interior renovation permits. You'll need full.
Just a second. Go ahead.
You'll need full plumbing permits. You'll need the. All of these permits have to be inspected and finalized. So far right now, we need permits for stairs that have been put in without permits. We've got plumbing. They're still working on a roof. They do have a permit for that.
Do you have a contractor who's working?
Yes, I have a contractor.
Who's the contractor?
State line contractor.
Who?
State line contractors. I already have permit for interior renovation, include the plumbing. We already have that one. And also that the stairs, it is original there. It was it's a wood. And I have the guy because that wood is kind of not so strong. I asked the guys just put the concrete on it. We did not touch any stronger, make it strong. And the inside we just make it stronger. We did not touch anything. It was there.
Like I described the stairs, overlaid concrete on top of the wood.
Yeah.
And that's not going to work.
But in the bottom we support something.
Those stairs are not going to pass inspection.
Okay, you see that's we did not touch any actually structure, just put the concrete, make them looks better. Before that wood looks like rotten, but still is support. But if you think that's needed,
well, let's just have a fireside chat here. We have one really gross local property that has historically been a gross local property. Now, I can theoretically find this lady into oblivion and we continue to look at this gross local property, or I can try to figure out how we get all this thing moving forward where hopefully I'm no longer looking at a gross local property before I die. So, who has any suggestions as to what we should be doing here? My suggestion right now is that we reconvene at next month's meeting. She brings her contractor so that we don't have to argue about what permits are or are not present, and we don't have to argue about what work will or will not be done. And then we just have to figure out what we do about the tenant and to what extent the tenant actually constitutes a legitimate complaint that she's got that interferes with her ability to come into compliance. So does anybody have any suggestions? Because if they do, I'm open to them.
I believe your suggestion you just made is reasonable, to come back next month with the contractor.
Okay.
I don't want any work being done there that you don't have a permit for.
Yeah.
Are we clear? If I find out from this day forward that that's been done, I'm going to fine you.
Okay.
We are going to come back at the meeting on October 10th. I want your contractor here with you, okay? We're going to talk about all the permits that you have, and you can get whatever other permits you want between now and then.
Okay.
Be my guest. We're going to talk about the permits you have. We're going to talk about the work that you can be doing while you're wrestling with this tenant. We're going to talk about the tenant's impact on construction going forward. And most importantly, we're going to talk about how if we give you the time to get this place straightened out, it better look nice when you're done. Okay. So, and I'm not yelling at you. I'm just trying to get this whole thing moving forward. This is a difficult property. We're just going to have to deal with it. So there you go. So we will meet October 10th, 2023. If you would please bring your contractor with you. You can update us then on the status with your tenant. I want to know when you can reasonably expect her to be gone.
Yeah.
Okay? And then I want you to bring your contractors so we can have a for real dialogue about what we can reasonably expect to happen. Make sure you've got the permits you need to get it done, and then talk about getting it done.
Okay.
And then we will try to establish a date that we can have some real faith in, and then you are going to be expected to meet that date.
Okay.
Okay? I know you've taken on a big project, but we're still just going to have to get it done. Okay? And in the meantime, I don't want any construction at that house. In the meantime, aside from the unit that's being occupied by the tenant, it's going to remain empty. None of the other units are to be rented, used, or occupied until the property is in compliance. It's going to be secured to city standards. The exterior is going to be maintained as best as you can. I understand it's a construction site, and you're going to do those things. And then, like I say, we'll meet on October 10th, and we'll try to figure out a rational plan that we can actually implement, and then we're going to hold you to it. All right?
Yes.
And like I said, no work in the interim for which you don't have a permit.
We have everything. But,
Take your word for it. You don't have to argue it to me anymore.
Yeah, I don't.
I will take your word for it, and if you got any doubts or questions, feel free to call that gentleman and ask him.
Yes.
You know, am I allowed to take this wall down, or do I have to have a contractor do it? Am I allowed to do this or what have you? Don't hesitate to call him and ask him.
Yeah, we just do now in the window. We have permit just to replace the window and except the woman leave there, not touch anything.
All right, well, we're going to get through this. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Case 25, Joseph Torch.
State your name.
Joseph Torch.
You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, this matter's here for the imposition of a fine, so let's hear from the city.
All right, since the last hearing, we've had contact and progress. They have been scheduled for a variance hearing on the 19th, so I would like to amend the November cutoff so that they can get that hearing, and then we can see about the completion of the work.
The variance hearing is to allow the steps to remain that may be too close to something or other?
Yes.
Is that what, is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so, I'm sorry, you were just saying what? Amend the cutoff to November 8th?
Yeah, because they're going to have the meeting on the 19th of October. So then we should have a better direction of where we're going from there and hopefully can establish a final
So he's
compliance date.
suggesting me extending the compliance date to November 8th. What say you to that?
I would say yes for status meeting, but to be in compliance, maybe December.
What is going to be required above and beyond the steps
Uh,
that I haven't been paying attention to?
well, part of the permit is to do the hardy board siding. That's why the front's not done. And then I have the general contractor, but he's unavailable. And the architect, and I'm just not sure between October 19th and November 8th.
All right, I'm going to continue this matter to our November 14, 2023 meeting. All right, so right now your status is staring down the barrel of a fine. Miserable way to live, but what can you do? And on November 14th, we'll reconsider this. And hopefully by November 14th, we will have made progress one way or another. And you'll either be in compliance or you'll tell me there's little left to be done. And that all you're going to need is another 30 days, and I'll hear it then.
Correct.
10-4?
Yes, sir.
Good luck to you.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.
All right, we've already done case 26, case 27. Brings us to case 28, Pro Development USA LLC. Anyone here for the respondent? Not seeing a respondent, what say the city?
Since the last hearing,
Sorry, I think he's on Zoom.
Yes, I'm here, Your Honor.
Okay, if you would please state your name and be sworn by our secretary.
Daniel Castillo.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, I have that we're here for a progress report and to determine a compliance date. Who wants to give me a progress report?
oh, you can go ahead.
All right, sir, what's the progress?
Yes, Your Honor. We have been working diligently on the property. We evict pretty much everybody. We have just one, which was a complicated guy. The owner negotiate with him, so he should be out of the property by this Friday. I really like to schedule a inspection for next week so we can check all the items on the violation. The only one that we are not going to comply now is the request license for use, because right now the owner is trying to figure out what he wants to do. In the meantime, we just remove all the tenants and we improve the property exterior, touch up an interior. We remove all the illegal things around the house. So I think that we have a good improvement on this. So I feel confident in the next week with an inspection we will close this.
Okay, what say the city?
To be clear, we are nowhere near closing this. They were cited for unpermitted work. They received a stop work order. They continue to work unfettered, which includes unpermitted work. In July, they were supposed to start the proceedings to remove people due to the unsafe conditions. They have not completed that as promised. We would like to set a compliance date for the next cutoff.
And what does that do for us?
I mean, given that they're continuing to press forward, we have no choice but to seek a fine. I mean, if you're already cited for unpermitted work and then we have to put a stop work order in you because you're doing more unpermitted work and that doesn't slow you down, I'm really left with nothing but a fine. There's currently no permits in the works, no paperwork in the works. It's just sitting out there.
Your Honor, we have a permit. We submitted a permit. Let me see very quick here. On July Permit number is R as read 2307-600 for the fence that we install.
That's for a repair that would not cover the brand new fence, to be clear. So that permit's of no use.
Okay, how, all right. So, is it feasible for the respondent to be able to come into compliance by October 4, 2023?
Yes, sir.
He said yes. So sure.
I mean, yes, I think that we, like I said, we can walk, we can walk next week on, and, you know, we can see what is going on. We are not doing major repairs. We are focused on the items on that list. The fence was a emergency, act because was very hard for us stopping people to go into the unit. But, you know, is have been a challenge for the owner to keep people out of the premises. The premises. That's why well, we did what we did, and we trying to comply. You know, we, as you can see, we have been trying to improve this, you know, and there's we hire engineering to check the property to see if we need a engineer letter for anything, and he advised, you know, to remove whatever is illegal, and comply, you know, and that's what we have been doing. There is no major improvements, so. But again, we can walk the
I'm
property.
going to go ahead and order the respondent to come into compliance by October 4, 2023, or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 thereafter. I hope you've been paying attention to what our inspector has had to say while he's been standing here, because he's talking about a lack of permits. He's talking about work being done without permits. He's talking about all sorts of violations in addition to what you're seeing here. So I would urge someone on behalf of the respondent to get a hold of this inspector and figure out how to get it done, because your view of your condition right now is starkly different from his view of your condition right now. And if you've got till October 4th, 2023, you need to make sure you're on the same page. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Good luck
Yes,
to you.
Your Honor.
Good luck to
Thank you, sir.
All right, case 29 we already did. Case number 30, Abdul Wahab Al-Khatami. Anyone here for the respondent? Not seeing a respondent. What say the city?
All right, since the last hearing, no further progress was made, no contact from the owner. Staff requests a fine of $250 a day with a max of $15,000.
Based on our inspector's testimony and the photographs presented, I'm fining the respondent the sum of $250 per day commencing September 7, 2023, and that fine will continue to accrue each day thereafter until the property is in compliance or the amount of the fine has reached the sum of $15,000. Case number 31, Willie Mae Lane. Anyone here for the respondent? Not seeing a respondent. What say the city?
Since the last hearing, no progress, no contact with the owner. Staff requests a fine of $250 a day with a max of $15,000.
Based upon our inspector's testimony and the photographs presented, I'm finding the respondent the sum of $250 per day commencing September 7, 2023, and the fine will continue to accrue each day thereafter until the property is in compliance or the amount of the fine has reached the sum of $15,000. Case number 32, Chucky D. Edwards. Anyone here for the respondent? Not seeing a respondent. What say the city?
Since the last hearing, no progress or contact from the owner. Staff requests a fine of $250 a day with a max of $15,000.
Based upon the testimony of our inspector and the photographs presented, noting the absence of the respondent, I'm finding the respondent the sum of $250 per day commencing September 7, 2023, and the fine will continue to accrue each day thereafter until the property is in compliance or the amount of the fine has reached the sum of $15,000. Case number 33, George R. and Angelina M. Alvis. Anyone here for the respondent? Not seeing a respondent, what say the city?
Ms. McCullough, this is the property that was previously discussed in that other case with the vacant lot tree.
The tree.
Yeah, so this is the property owner that's being fined. Since the last hearing, no progress, no contact. So we're asking for $250 a day with a max of $15,000. That's his lot right there, and the flex lot is right there to the south.
Okay. All right, noting the absence of the respondent based upon our inspector's testimony and the photographs presented, I'm fining the respondent the sum of $250 per day commencing September 7, 2023, and the fine will continue to accrue each day thereafter until the property is in compliance or the amount of the fine has reached the sum of $15,000. Case number 34, Randy Rocco and Thomas Bollock. Anyone here for the respondent? Not seeing a respondent, what say the city?
Since the last hearing, no progress or contact was made. Staff requests a fine of $250 a day with a max of $15,000.
Noting the absence of the respondent based upon the inspector's testimony and the photographs presented, I'm fining the respondent the sum of $250 per day commencing September 7, 2023. Fine will continue to accrue each day thereafter until the property is in compliance or the amount of the fine has reached the sum of $15,000. Case number 35, Earl McCrary III. Anyone here for the respondent? Not seeing a respondent, what say the city?
All right, since the last hearing, the vehicle and trailer still parked on the vacant lot. No contact from the owner. Staff requests a fine of $250 a day with a max of $15,000.
All right, noting the absence of the respondent based upon our inspector's testimony and the photographs presented, I'm fining the respondent the sum of $250 per day commencing September 7, 2023, and the fine will continue to accrue each day thereafter until the property is in compliance or the amount of the fine has reached the sum of $15,000. We've already done case 36, we've done case 37. Case number 38, David Clark. Anyone here for the respondent?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, sir, if you would state your name and be sworn.
David Clark.
Raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, this matter is here for the imposition of a fine, so let's hear from the city.
Inspector Jean-Baptiste, certified inspector. Since last hearing, I've had communication with Mr. Clark. Property is occupied. In terms of progress, I received the following email, and it states, the contractor, a second quote, have fallen off the map to me. As you know, I was up north for the summer, but returned for the weekend. I have started over soliciting quotes. Hope to have a solid proposal by next week. As such, staff is recommending a fine of $100 a day since nothing's been done since our last hearing.
Did you try to locate contractors?
On several occasions, yes, I have. I had 2 different contractors that had given me quotes back when we had last talked. I'd given an okay to let's move forward on this, and as soon as I mentioned I needed stuff in writing, because I'm submitting to the historic preservation grants. That's where it got left, and I never heard back from either of them. And as you did, point out, I'd gone to Maine for the summer. I got back here the 1st. I have 2 quotes. I have an application for the historic preservation, and that's where I'm at. I pointed out to him that I'm starting back at ground at point 0.
All right, I'm going to amend our current order of noncompliance to allow the respondent until October 4, 2023 to come into compliance or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do with this case ultimately. What I will do is if I'm confronted with a respondent that I'm satisfied is doing everything humanly effort to come into compliance, especially when it comes to something that he's going to require a permit and or a contractor to do that he can't do himself, that if I'm satisfied he's made a good faith effort to do so, then I will take that into consideration. That's all I'm saying on the matter. So I hope you find somebody to get this fixed by October 4th. If not, show up with a lot of proof that you busted your butt trying to get it done. 10-4?
Thanks.
Good luck to you. Case number 39, Sandals US LLC. Not seeing a respondent, what say the city?
Since last hearing, I've had contact with the owner and the contractor. This is a vacant lot in which they are currently under construction, as you can see per photos. As such, we wish to amend to the November cutoff, please, some time to complete the work.
What am I looking at?
This was formerly a vacant lot, gravel, and it is now in the process of becoming a paved parking lot. However, it's not finished.
So A1A runs in between that blue building and what
And
is
the
it
white
called, the
building.
streamline?
Correct, sir.
Okay, gotcha.
So
All
this
right,
is
I'm
the
sorry.
Stendos Hotel and right directly in front of the Stendos Hotel.
Gotcha. Okay, and I'm sorry, what did you propose?
Give them to November cutoff so they can have time to finish and finalize everything.
All right, based upon our inspector's presentation, I'm going to amend our current order of noncompliance to allow the respondent until November 8, 2023 to come into compliance or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. Daytona Center LLC. Hello?
Hello, Dee Etlinger, property manager.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth? Thank you.
All right, this matter is here for the imposition of a fine. What say the city?
Since last hearing, I've had communication with Ms. Etlinger. This is a commercial property, as you can see in photos. Work has been made in some of the issues. However, there still remains the area from the previous picture that shows the sign is still damaged. So at this time, we wish to give her an opportunity to get that done till next cutoff, please.
What say the respondent?
That's fine.
What's
Yes.
the problem with the sign?
Well, I was letting the neighboring tenant, he has expanded into that space. That tenant moved out and left his broken sign there.
Where it
So I was
says
letting-
treasure hunter or something? or-
Correct. I was letting the church
You were
see if
leaving the
they could
sign
use
there
the
so that the new tenant
so if
could
they could
possibly
reuse
get
the
some
race.
use out of it.
Yes, so I'll see him today. He has been talking to sign companies, and I'll get an update. If he can't use it, I'll just have it removed.
Okay. All right, based upon the consent of the parties, if you will, I'm going to amend our current order of noncompliance to allow the respondent until October 4, 2023 to come into compliance or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Case number 41, Jacqueline Manning. Yes, sir, if you would state your name and be sworn.
Roger Washington.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
And your affiliation with Jacqueline Manning?
Oh, I'm over the property.
Pardon?
Over the property.
This matter's here for the imposition of a fine. What say the city?
Since last hearing, I've been in communication with Mr. Washington. Property is not occupied. In terms of progress, he has removed the trash and debris from the previous issue, but this is an insurance issue, if you remember. And at this time, Mr. Washington will provide us any updates that he may have in regards to this property.
Did you paint this building?
Yes, it was painted, but
And
now,
did you paint those stairs and what have you?
yes.
Place looks nice.
With the,
If I'm not mistaken, that's a dramatic improvement over from what you started with, wasn't it?
well, it was the bricks that was the stone that was on the back.
Yeah, what was it? There was some weird problem, something like
Well, the insurance company
you had
and
a
the
wall
bank,
that nobody could touch or something like that?
the wall,
Well, anyway, go ahead.
Right, as a result of the hurricane that happened, the wall fell, and there was a car there that he had to remove, and there were several bricks that was removed. So he's done what he physically did at this time.
Okay, so what are y'all proposing?
well, the insurance company and the bank is still not communicating with us like before. The owner, he went in contract with the previous contractor, not contract, he signed the contract because the contractor has a lawyer on retainer that he will use to push the bank and insurance company to move forward. So he did an e-sign and signed all that to retain the contractor and their lawyer so we can move forward the process with the bank and the insurance company. They're still dragging their feet. This is a copy if you.
All right, so what ultimately are we hoping to get done here?
Well, from the rest of the small damage and the other little
In
damage.
these photos, I don't see anything wrong.
Well, the main power line that goes to the street, that was on that wall that fell down.
Okay.
That was cut because of a hazard. We still have to get the power back on in there.
All right, so what physically has to be done to this property?
Physically, the property needs to be, I failed to include the pictures on the other side where the damages happened, where the wall fell.
Right.
So those are the issues that need to be taken care of.
I mean, that's what I'm vaguely recalling. So what are we,
Correct,
we're just
correct.
hauling out a lot of down brick?
It just breaks and repairs that need to be made by a contractor on the property. And I believe the stairs are still in disrepair, so that whole backside of the property, you can't get access to it.
Right.
And as he mentioned, there is no power to the property because the wall in question, all the electrical wires that were there, the fuse box, everything is literally damaged.
Okay.
And I've put the caution signs on there numerous of times, but
So that is physically what needs to take place to come into compliance?
Yes, sir.
And you are wrestling with a bank and an insurance company?
Correct.
to Get it done
correct, since December of last year.
since December of last year?
Yeah, that's when they contacted us after making contact with them the 1st of October of last year.
But whatever the physical work is that needs to be done, does that impact 368 Mary McLeod Bethune Boulevard? I mean, is that structure in doing business?
No, we have it closed.
And what, I assume it's waiting for all this to be done?
Yes. Like if we had to go in there, we would have to run on a generator.
Gotcha.
It can be occupied, but as far as getting electric in there, it will have to be on a
So
generator.
what are you proposing time-wise?
We wanted to see about next cutoff to be able to, again, see if there is any progress in between him and the insurance company. However, we really cannot allow this case to continue until oblivion, until what if they never get back to him? So that's really between him and the insurance company. At this time, next cutoff was my final step, but it all depends on what you decide, sir.
And I want to remind you that the bank cut a check to an insurance company in December. That bank sold to another bank, which the whole hold up is the insurance check with the new bank and the insurance company. So we're not getting any like response for them. Like they are.
The bank cut the check to the insurance.
No, the insurance company cut the check to the bank in December. That
The
bank
bank
in
got the
return sold a mortgage to another bank. So we're in a big limbo and no one wants to communicate with us. So with the contractor, they have a lawyer on retainer. So he signed that to be able to obtain that lawyer so that contractor and the lawyer can go out to the bank and insurance company to see if they can make a move. So we're
Is
just,
there a mortgage on this property?
yes. It's a bunch of like behind the scene mess. It's a big mess. And nobody seems like they want to pay out anything. And I do have the e-signature here and all the communication for you all to have.
You know, I gotta be honest, I got a bad feeling about this one. You got an insurance company that ponied up with the money that presumably was the cash that you were gonna use to fix the wall and make the repairs. It hands it over to a bank that holds a mortgage on the property. And under the terms of your mortgage, the bank may or may not have an obligation to turn that money over to you. And just to complicate matters more, now we got another bank involved that took over for bank number one.
And the first bank, they have to give that over because the owner, I think it's what, 3 signatures that need to be done? The owner never signed it.
All right, well, you know what? All I can do is take little baby steps for the time being. I'll amend our current order of noncompliance to allow the respondent until October 4, 2023 to come into compliance or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. So we will continue to monitor the situation because we have to do something.
October.
And if you have an attorney's information, we could probably send the notice to them as well,
I'm trying to get that for you.
because hopefully.
Okay, good luck to you.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you, sir.
Case number 42, we've already done. Case number 43, Daytona Lands 1. Anyone here for the respondent?
I believe he was on Zoom.
Yes, sir. If you would, please state your name and be sworn.
It's Fabrizio Lucchese.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, this matter's here for the imposition of a fine, so let's hear from our inspector first.
Inspector Jean-Baptiste, certified inspector once again. I've been in contact with Mr. Fabricio. The demo has happened, so the building is no longer on site. However, there are still, it needs to be finalized. There are still some things that the building department wanted them to do, and Mr. Fabrizio is in contact with the building department, and they have come into an understanding. As such, he requests 2 weeks to have it done, so we are requesting to amend to the next cutoff, please.
Does that sound all right to you?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, then I'll amend our current order of noncompliance to allow the respondent until October 4, 2023 to come into compliance or be returned to the special magistrate for consideration of a fine of up to $1,000 per day thereafter. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, that concludes our regular agenda. That brings us to the lien reviews. Lien Review 1, Investment of Ank LLC, Jerome Thompson. Yes, sir. If you would, please state your name and be sworn.
Jerome Thompson.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay, we have a $15,024 lien effective February 6, 2008. Compliance July 20, 2023, 15 years later. All right. First off, have there been any discussions between the parties?
Yes, yes.
All right, have we come to any agreements?
Yes, sir. We met with Mr. Thomas previously. My administration, Mr. Sykes, our manager, met with Mr. Thompson, and we've come into agreement, recommend to waiver this lien at this time.
In toto?
Yes, total amount. Yes, sir.
Assume you don't have a problem with that? All right. And based upon the stipulation of the parties, that being the city as well as, I'm sorry, is it Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson? Then I will order that the lien be canceled. Is that all we need? Very good. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Lien review number 2, 540B LLC, North Beach Street. Is there anyone here for the respondent? Do we have someone appearing by Zoom?
No, the attorney, well, I'm sorry, not the attorney, but the representative, Pete Zahn from Zahn's Engineering, he did submit a confirmation that his client accepted the terms.
Forgive me. Okay,
And-
I'm sorry, go ahead now.
Yeah, and we met Mr. Zahn on lien reviews 2 and 3. And we did them collectively. And there was an agreement to reduce, if you want me to go lien review, okay.
However you want.
Okay, so there's a total of $40,000 between lien reviews 2 and 3, and we have agreed to a reduction of $6,000. So that would be lien review 2 reduced down to $3,000, and lien review number 3 reduced down to $3,000. And if you don't have it, I have their acceptance of the settlement in email.
Okay, thank you. All right. Based upon the agreement of the parties, I am reducing, this is lien review number 2 I'm talking about, the lien to the sum of $3,000. I presume it's subject to being paid within 30 days.
Yes, sir.
Subject to being paid within 30 days. And if it's not paid within 30 days, then the original amount of the lien will remain in place. With regard to lien review number 3, I am similarly reducing the amount of the lien to the sum of $3,000, subject to being paid within 30 days. And if it's not paid within 30 days, then the original lien amount will remain intact. Okay, so is that it for lien review 2 and 3?
That's it.
Okay, you can have, do you want that back? All right, that brings us up to lien review 4, Lawton B. and Esther B. Thomas, Seaman Place. Is anybody appearing for this, or is it just us?
Just us, sir.
Just us. All right, Mr. Bostwick, what's going on with lien review 4?
All right, on this,
Your respondent.
all right, we have spoken with Mrs. Thomas, and this is actually a lien that was back in 2021. I had cited her earlier this year, and she came into compliance. And after speaking to Ms. Thomas, she lives in McKinley, Florida. She's 92 years old. She's blind. Back in 2021, never received any of our letters. Since then, Council on Aging is like coming there like 2 or 3 times a week, and that's how she was able to receive my letters that I sent her to try to get her property into compliance. So at this point, the city would like to just waive previous liens because she has hired a contractor that will be doing a monthly lawn service on her vacant lot going forward.
All right, based upon the inspector's testimony and the respondent's letter to the special magistrate regarding her agreement concerning the disposition of this matter, then I will order the lien canceled with the understanding that the yard is going to be maintained going forward by on a monthly basis by a lawn care company.
Correct.
That is the condition upon which the waiver of this lien has been made. There you go. Do I need to say anything more, or you understand what we're talking about? Okay, good enough. All right, that's it for the lien review. Hang on one second. If I might just ask, out of my own curiosity, what was the thinking behind the resolution of lien reviews 2 and 3? The $3,000.
Yeah, I remember.
I was just curious as to what,
Off the top of my head, I can't remember now.
it's no big deal, I was just curious.
But it was compelling to the
Okay.
point where.
Well, I have no doubt of that.
Yeah, there was an issue
Okay,
that we wanted to resolve.
cool. Well, hey, a resolved lien is music to my ears. Okay, anything else to be brought before the special magistrate? Not hearing anything? We're adjourned.